Nile Rodgers' inspiration for Diana Ross's hit, I'm Coming Out.
Did Aerosmith bail out several dozen fans arrested at a concert in 1978?
Hey everybody, this is Big Randy with the Smarts Project. I've provided security and transportation for some of the biggest names in the music industry.
I'm John. I've been a musician for over 20 years, playing everything from metal and punk to bluegrass and country.
We're bringing you a podcast about some of the weirdest myths and legends that the music industry has to offer. This is Tall Tales and Music Mythology.
Hey everybody, this is Big Randy with the Smarts Project. Welcome to the podcast. And now he's coming out. He wants the world to know he's got to let it show, Mr. Jonathan Glover.
Well, hello everybody.
So I think it would be irresponsible of us to not talk about the passing of Tom Petty.
Yeah.
His manager, Tony Dimitriades, announced on Monday that he had passed away. He was found in critical condition at his home in Malibu, California, Sunday night after suffering full cardiac arrest, and it was first reported by TMZ, which, as a security guy, I hate TMZ. I hate to sound like you, but damn, I hate TMZ.
They're terrible. They are cancer and AIDS in one.
Yeah. Petty was taken to UCLA Santa Monica Hospital, where he died on Monday at 11:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Petty was widely lauded songwriter, singer, multi-instrumentalist, and record producer. He was 66 years old, yep. And he had just concluded his 40th anniversary tour with his band, the Heartbreakers, on September 25th in LA.
I didn't know that. Man.
You know, I tell you, man, there was two things that really bugged me about this is, number one, how the press handled it. Press in general, not TMZ, everybody.
Right.
Because I remember, it going back and forth that he's dead, and then there was he's not dead.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if you're hanging on with life support, technically speaking, I guess you're not dead.
Right.
And not only do I not know what the reasons for that was, but, you know, maybe he was an organ donor and they were, you know,
it could be
for those reasons. But, you know, I think the thing that bothered me the most is that there was so many outlets that they were in such a hurry to be first that they weren't worried about the accuracy.
Yeah.
And I guess that, you know, that shines more of a light on us as a nation than, you know, them as a industry, you know. But,
True.
So anyway, my story is about the song I'm Coming Out, which was written by Nile Rodgers and originally made a big hit by Diana Ross. I didn't write it in here, but years ago, I drove for a Greyhound charter.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a limousine company for buses.
Right.
We didn't drive routes and all that stuff.
Right.
And one of the guys that I used to see quite a bit, he was probably the only guy that I ever met in that whole short time I was working there that was an entire person taller than me. I mean, he was 6'10", 6'11", something like that. Yeah, I mean, he built like a spoon, but you know, he was a retired NBA player.
Okay.
And I wish I could remember his name.
When was this?
That he played?
No, when was this?
This was, I'm going to say 98, 99, something like that. But
he was Manute Bol.
No. He wasn't active.
Than that.
He had retired. He had only played maybe like 6 or 8 years.
Oh, okay.
And he was done with it by the time that I don't know, maybe like early 80s. He got out of it, something like that. But
I don't know.
He had went out on a date with Diana Ross.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, which is funny because Diana Ross ain't no bigger than a fly fart.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how tall she is. I've never met her, but I want to say she's probably like 5 foot nothing, you know, and probably has negative body fat, you know. So, you know, I could imagine the picture of those two standing together He's 6'10", 6'11".
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I don't know what he was built like back then. I got his basketball card somewhere. He brought in a card one day and he signed it for me and he gave it to me. I don't know where the hell it's at. Probably in storage somewhere. But I was like, man, you only went out on a date with her once. He's like, oh yeah, she's crazy as a bed bug.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, he says she's like crazy. He didn't go into any detail. Well, he went into details on a few things, but I'm not going to bring it up here.
Right.
I mean, not that it's like sexual in nature or anything. It's just,
yeah.
Try to keep it positive.
Well, especially you don't want to exactly besmirch. Diana Ross is amazing. Obviously, as an artist. So
Last thing I know that I need is another damn small woman trying to beat my ass. Got enough of them. So nothing personal, Jen. So anyway, Nile Rodgers has worked with just about everybody in the music industry, from Michael Jackson to Madonna to NXS to Mick Jagger.
Yep.
On a side note, he was one of my favorite artists of all time. I drove him years ago as he was scheduled for an interview at a radio station in Virginia Beach. I met him and Earth, Wind and Fire at the same time.
Nice.
And, man, there are a few things, I was just telling you before we hit record, there are a few things that happened in my life that I'll be on my deathbed bragging to my grandkids about, but that's one of them. I was fortunate enough to spend time with Phil Bailey from Earth, Wind and Fire and Nile Rodgers in the same room at the same time. It was just us. It might have been maybe 15, 20 minutes where we were all just shooting the breeze. And it wasn't like them shooting the breeze and I'm sitting there with my tongue out. Like, I can't believe, oh my God, I'm sitting in the room, with like legends. Right. But like we genuinely had a conversation, you know? And dude, that was just, and both of them are just so, so nice. Philip Bailey's kind of a pretty boy, but really a nice guy.
Gotcha.
So with his band Chic, he wrote and produced songs like Good Times, which later became the foundation for one of the greatest rap songs in history, Rapper's Delight, and We Are Family, which is a huge hit for Sister Sledge, all of which are eternally enshrined in the Wedding and Bar Mitzvah DJ Song List Hall of Fame. Becoming a phenomenal guitarist after bluffing his way into the band and focusing on his craft, Now played at Harlem's Apollo Theater with the pop group New World Rising before teaming up with bassist Bernard Edwards in 1970. Did you ever hear of New World Rising?
No. I was like, as you said, I was like, I don't know who the hell that is.
There's like a little piece of my heart that gets healed up whenever there's something that I say that you don't know.
Yeah, dude, I have never heard of them.
I've never heard of them either.
Okay,
I can't brag too much, but on his own, now handled productions for David Bowie's Let's Dance in 1983 and the 1984 album from Madonna, who changed pop music conversations forever with Like a Virgin and Material Girl. Rodgers.
And you know who played guitar on Let's Dance?
No.
We've talked about this before, actually, I think. Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Shut your face.
Yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan played guitar on that, I believe, the entire
You told
album.
me that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can really hear it in the title track. You can definitely hear it in like some of the solos towards the end. Obviously, they're much more restrained than most of Stevie Ray Vaughan's solos. But
now that I think about it, it's really got that, like that sustaining note that he does sometimes.
Just like that long held bend.
Yeah.
And they had met at I think it was at the Montreux Jazz Festival, which is kind of where Stevie Ray Vaughan got like his first biggest exposure.
Right.
And at first he kind of blew off Bowie. He's like, oh yeah, here's another dude who pretends to love the blues. And they actually started talking about it. And
that's so funny that somebody like him that wasn't known that much then blew off David Bowie, who's a freaking legend.
Exactly. And so he started talking to him. Was like, oh, this dude knows his shit.
You're the real deal.
How they started their collaboration.
So now also worked with the likes of Duran Duran, the B-52s, and Vaughan Brothers, as well as Grace Jones. An inductee into the Dance Hall Music Hall of Fame, Rodgers more recently worked with Thomas. This is a test for you.
Okay.
I'm sure you know it. With Thomas Bangalter and Guy Manuel de Homan Cristo. Also better known as Daft Punk.
Oh, shit.
I thought that
I should know that name.
I was starting to say, that sounds like right up your alley.
You know those. Yeah.
Yeah, I got their phone number right here. Becoming part of the duo's 2013 #1 album, Random Access Memories. Damn you, Jonathan Glove. Rodgers served as co-writer and guitarist on Give Life Back to Music.
Really?
Lose Yourself to Dance and the international smash hit Get Lucky.
Well, and Pharrell sang on at least 2 of those songs.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Well, Get Lucky, Pharrell sings on that, and what was the other one you said? Give Life Back to Music?
Oh, Give Life Back to Music, Lose Yourself to Dance.
Lose Yourself to
and,
Dance.
Get Lucky.
I know Pharrell sings on Get Lucky and Lose Yourself to Dance.
That's so funny. You know, it's funny, man.
That's a good album.
You know, Pharrell's from Virginia Beach, right?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I've seen him quite a few times, whether I'm driving him or Chad or whoever in the whatever, you know, for the label, whatever. And I hear stuff about him. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, I'm nobody to this guy. You could ask him right now who Randy Russellberg is. He's like, I don't know. I never heard that name in my life. But, you know, every time I hear something about him like that, I always feel kind of offended. Like, why didn't we have this conversation? You know, me and Pharrell should have talked about this, you know?
Well, and see, I remember Pharrell from his, he had a project before doing anything solo, and he was also part of, I believe he was part of the production group, the Neptunes.
Yeah.
But he had a rap group called NERD.
Yeah.
And it was really good stuff. And I can remember listening to them, their first album back in like 2003, 2004.
Right.
Way before he blew up or anything like that. So,
I met him right at the end of, Neptunes, him and Chad. And I think Chad's from Portsmouth, if I remember.
Is that
right.
the other guy from?
Yeah, Chad
I
Hugo.
can never remember his name. I can picture his face.
Yeah.
I can never remember his name.
The thing I like about them both is they're just so, like all the stuff I said about Carlos Santana, they're exactly like them. They're just such, dude, talking to them is just like talking to you.
Gotcha.
Only they hate less things. In the book, Le Freak, an upside down story of family, disco, and destiny, Nile tells his incredible life story of growing up in New York City, the son of heroin addicts, to working with all the greats and then overcoming his own cocaine addiction. And,
that does not surprise me.
As kind of like, a joke in conversation, you know, whenever he talks about cocaine, he'll get, Rick's line, you know, cocaine's a hell of a drug. Yeah. You know,
that's funny.
And one of the things I like about him is that split in his teeth. Yeah. Whenever he smiles, it has character, you know. And I love it when he smiles. He's got a great smile. If anyone is ever interested in the way the song Le Freak came out, I would highly recommend reading up about it. If you read up on it, you'll get a kick out of it. But today we're talking about the song I'm Coming Out by Diana Ross, or Miss Ross if you're nasty. See what I did there? In 1979, Diana Ross took her daughters to see the band Chic in concert featuring Nile Rodgers on guitar. It was hearing their songs that prompted Ross to commission Nile Rodgers and bassist Bernie Edwards to create material on her new album. This following the success of Ross's final Ashford and Simpson composed and produced LP, The Boss. Which is funny because her nickname is Miss Ross.
Yeah.
And you would think with an album called The Boss that
Boss, Miss Ross.
That
should go together, yeah.
Thank you. Somebody else did the math on that, finally, you know. So I'm Coming Out was released on August 22nd of 1980 as the second single from Diana Ross's self-titled 10th album, Diana. The song was another hit from the album, peaking at number 5 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 chart for 2 weeks in November 1980. It was also notable for being her first song she usually performed at Ross's performance at concerts since its released.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, really, could you have a better song for Coming Out?
That's funny. It makes sense. Yeah, it's a perfect opener.
I wonder if one day it's going to be like Cliche, you know.
Right.
But anyway, I'm Coming Out has been largely regarded as an anthem for the LGBTQ community. And I read that, and I have quite a few friends of mine that they're gay and lesbian, and I was messaging actually this morning as I was polishing everything up, and I was like, okay, I have been heterosexual a vast majority of my life, and I just wanted to make sure that this is correct. Am I right? And yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, anyway, Rodgers got the idea for I'm Coming Out after noticing 3 different drag queens standing next to him in the urinal dressed as Diana Ross at the New York transvestite club called the Gigi Barnum Room, which... Have you ever heard of the Gigi Barnum?
No.
I bet you that you have, which some may be familiar with on other names it has been opened
Studio
on.
54?
Is the Peppermint Lounge and the Hollywood Club.
Oh, and I've heard the name the Hollywood Club. I never heard of the Peppermint Lounge.
No,
no.
Oh, dude, that's the one I've never heard of the Hollywood Club.
Really?
Yeah, but the Peppermint Lounge, I want to say that was the original one, but it was the Peppermint Lounge twice.
Okay.
So it was the Peppermint Lounge, and all these things I'm getting ready to tell you, all these were frequented by gay folks, by the gay community. Right. So it was the Peppermint Lounge, I want to say from 1868.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was like 1868 to like 1965. And then it was closed down. And then it was Gigi Barnum Room. And then they opened it up again as Hollywood. And then they opened it up again as the Peppermint Lounge. And I want to say it's probably the Peppermint Lounge now. Gotcha. But it was always frequented by gay community. And I want to say that a vast majority of the owners were all friends of each other.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's oh, they were going to close down? Oh, okay. Because, I mean, this is back in the day whenever it was illegal to be gay.
Right, exactly,
exactly. So, and then let's see. So anyway, all those places were the same building, same address. This is one of the most unbelievable things I had ever experienced, Nile said about that night. We were working to identify with the new gay movement, and we just needed a song to connect her with them. Nile ran outside and called Bernard and told him about it and said, what if we recognize Diana Ross's really cool alignment with her fan base in the gay community? In the black community, we used to have a phrase called the coming out song. So anyways, we knew it was a catchphrase for the gay community, and we knew we were on the verge of a hit. After recording the initial tracks, Diana took a rough mix to the DJ, and from what I've gleaned from reading this, like it was behind Nile's back.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so I could be wrong on that, but that's just from what I kind of gleaned from the tone of the writing that I'm reading. Mm-hmm. After recording the initial tracks, Diana took a rough mix to the top DJ in the country, which nobody ever said who it was, and who hated it. And she came back really down in the dumps, and she asked us, "Why are you trying to ruin my career?" She asked us point blank if it was a gay record and if people were going to think that she was gay. It's the only time in my life I've ever lied to an artist, Niall said. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "Are you kidding me? Who's going to think that? No, it's your coming out song." The lyrics and specifically the title has many meanings. For Diana Ross, "I'm Coming Out" referred to her leaving Motown Records and coming out from under the rule of President Berry Gordy. Gay culture wasn't as accepted then as it is today. For any of you young folk that don't remember the 70s or, ask your parents about it. They'll probably know. So, I remember, of course, I was teenage and below, and teenagers are generally more accepting of alternate cultures than grown folks.
Yeah,
but
not always.
Well, that's true, but I mean, in my experience, but I remember, you had guys like Elton John and Freddie Mercury that it was painfully obvious that these guys were gay, more Freddie Mercury than anything else.
Right.
Because, I mean, he woke up with 3 shits and he went to bed with 3 shits because during the day he didn't give a shit.
Well, and the Village People, too.
Actually, a vast majority of those guys were straight. They connected.
Singer, the main singer, I know, was straight, but I thought the rest of them were gay.
No, they've changed members through the year. Right. But I wish I could remember his name. But the Indian and the cop, those guys pretty much stayed the same.
Yeah.
But
I know the cop is straight.
Yeah. And I want to say that the Indian guy was straight.
Was
too.
he? Okay, gotcha.
But I mean, who knows on that? We should do a special about that. But I do remember. I remember thinking then, and I really haven't changed my mind on it now, but it seemed to me that, like with Elton John and Freddie Mercury, those two in particular, that, and I mean, this is just my perception of it, but I remember distinctly thinking that, okay, these guys are gay. This is obvious these guys are gay. And nobody's talking about it.
Right.
As far as like press and all that kind of stuff, and their label isn't talking about it. And to me, it seemed like as long, if you want to be gay, that's fine. Right. But you're going to sing your songs like if you were singing it to your girlfriend. Right. And so it was almost like, you jump through our hoops and we'll let you be rich.
Yeah.
You know, and I could be looking at it all twisted up, but that's the way I felt then. That's kind of the way I felt now.
Well, and with Elton John, too, you got to remember he wasn't writing his lyrics. Bernie Taupin.
Oh, it was Bernie. Yeah, that's right. Bernie Taupin. Yeah.
So it was easier for that. I mean, Elton John was writing the music.
Right.
Bernie was writing the lyrics. So that was a little bit easier for that.
Sure, but I mean.
That arrangement.
But still, what's his face from Judas Priest?
Oh, Rob Halford.
He gave a whole new meaning to the words "You Got Another Thing Coming," which I think that was the meaning behind that song anyway.
Probably true.
Yeah, we'll have to do a special. Look at us just making material for shit to do later. So Nile said to me, "Wow, she doesn't realize who she was and the power that she had."
Right.
After interviewing her, the album we did was called Diana. So it was. I guess him and Bernie that came up with the idea for the name.
Okay.
The one thing we knew about Diana Ross was that she was an icon not only to the black community and not only to the female community, but the gay community who was so supportive of Diana.
Yeah.
And you have to put this stuff in context. Now it just sounds like a pop song, but this was the summer of Disco Sucks. You weren't alive then, were you?
No. But I'm well versed in it, and there was all the BG free weekends where radio stations would advertise, "Hey, we're not playing any Bee Gees."
Right,
material.
but see, that was more of the movement. Disco Sucks to me was an actual event. It was the baseball game. Did you ever?
Oh, now this I'm not familiar with.
Okay.
Because I'm only familiar with just the backlash to disco.
Okay, I know I'm going to screw it up, but I want to say it was in Chicago.
Okay.
Because I don't know shit from Apple
Is this
Butter
where
about
they burned
sports.
a bunch of records from disco?
And it was
Okay,
like, you get in free if you bring a disco album.
Yeah.
And what they were going to do, they were going to put it in this box in center field, and during the seventh inning stretch, they were going to blow it up. Well, what they didn't know is like that place that held 70,000 people, and not only were there 70,000 people that were in the stands, but there was probably about another 25,000 that were out in the parking lot. They had a small riot out in the parking lot because they were overflowed. They were at max. They couldn't
I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah. So whenever they blew it up, they actually blew it up, and like there was a hole that was in center field.
Wow.
They didn't expect that to happen.
Well, no. What? How do you not expect? Jesus. That was dumb on their
I'm not
part.
saying it was good planning.
That
I'm not
was
saying they had
really
a good
terrible.
PR guy and a good explosive expert, you know. But whenever that explosive happened, they had record shrapnel that went all the way out in the stands.
I can't imagine.
But whenever they hit the button, pulled the cord, whatever you want to call it, people lost their shit and they went into riot mode and they were like jumping out into the field and.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember
I'm
that.
going to have to look up footage of that.
Yeah, and this was all put on by a radio station.
Yeah.
Today, that guy's still alive that came up with that idea at the radio station. Yeah, and I want to say that he was pretty much like for the next, I guess, like week or so, he was kind of like a hero.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in the anti-disco movement, you know.
Right.
But I think as years went on that you know, he was kind of like an asshole. You know, people, that's the way, I mean, not that he changed, but that people looked at him as kind of like an asshole, you know.
That was stupid. They should have just waited until after the game and just burned them.
It was a really bad idea to, first of all, A, do the explosives, but
Blows
B,
my mind.
do it in center field.
And during the game.
Seventh inning stretch.
That's
yeah.
so stupid.
Yeah.
So stupid. Anywho, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You know, I ain't no carpenter, but.
We could talk about that for a long time.
Yeah,
too, I'm sure.
and we may. So, he says, when that happened, it was because they hated gay people, they hated black people and women. Look at the pictures of who was there at the Disco Sucks thing, which is the baseball game that I'm talking about. There ain't a gay person in the baseball stadium. There ain't a black person there. And it was a sellout. 70,000 people.
And probably mostly men as well.
Oh, all white dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so many
exactly.
white people there, I would have been scared, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it looked like one of my family reunions or something. So this doesn't include the thousands in the parking lot or the ones that broke in when the riot started.
Man.
So the riot started, this is me saying this now, but the riot actually started out in the parking lot well before the game started. Whenever they stopped taking people in, that's whenever the riot started in the parking lot. But whenever the explosion happened, that's whenever it started in the
Everybody
stands.
really lost their shit.
Yeah,
man.
the baseball teams and the owners went up in the press box because that's the only place they could go to get away from the team. The police couldn't get in there, nothing.
Dude, that's
yeah,
crazy.
it was deep, bro. And Diana Ross lived in a bubble. She lived in a world of Motown, which totally protected her.
Right.
Which is something that my basketball friend was telling me, that she kind of lives in a different world than most people.
Yeah, and I think that can be said for a lot of celebrities, especially at that fame level.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They really are in kind of their own little echo chamber. Look at Elvis towards the end of his career.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just surrounded by yes men.
Yeah.
You know, constantly. So.
And I don't know how many times I've seen it, but, well, the same thing. I don't know how many times I've seen it with people that I've worked for and with,
Right.
but, you know, occasionally you have people that come along that, like, I physically heard this with my own ears, like from Carlos Santana, that, you know, somebody's there and they're going, "Oh yeah, Carlos, that's a great idea." And he puts his hand out and he's like, "Don't agree with me. I want your opinion. We're having this conversation because I want your opinion."
Right.
Now that takes a strong man to say that, really, a strong person to say that.
Yeah.
So anyway, he said, Diana Ross lived in a bubble and she was protected by Motown. So 20 years, 18 number one hits, 3 movies, countless sold out concert venues, and all she got from Motown was $150,000 a year, which to me, that is a metric assload of money, but.
Right, but for what she gave to them.
Yeah, and how much money did she make for Berry Gordy? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not like she's the only one that ever accused him of being greedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So,
dude was shady as hell.
Oh, yeah. So, Nile Rodgers convinced his neighbor, producer Miko Bernardo. Are you familiar with that?
No, I don't know that name either.
Oh, I bet you will. To contract the horns for the album in return for a commitment by Rodgers to co-produce Bernardo's then upcoming album from the music for The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, really?
Bernardo has done things like the Star Wars music, the Cantina song, the theme from Close Encounters, the theme from Superman, The Empire Strikes Back, the Star Trek theme from Shogun, and my favorite of all, Dance Your Asteroids Off, the complete Star Wars collection.
What? No, okay, that one I'm definitely not familiar with.
What kind of resume does that brother got?
Huh.
Yeah.
I figured I would have heard that name because I thought wow.
Well, have you ever heard the disco version of the Star Wars music?
No, I definitely can safely say I have not, and nor do I want to.
Actually, it's not bad. I'm kind of a fan of his. I can't say that I followed him.
Wait, so no, he didn't create the original Star Wars music then,
No.
right? Okay. I was going to say, it's like, wait, I don't think that's the name of the person who created it.
He did score the film, but I don't think he did the opening.
Okay.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. I was thinking that was somebody else.
So,
who did that.
Bernardo, a former first call session player who had a string of hits in the late 1970s with disco versions of film music, also played trombone on the album and is featured in a solo towards the end of I'm Coming Out. Miko said, Now recorded all the tracks and vocals and called me and my horn to the session, my horn section for a 3-hour date. We had a great time as the songs were fabulous, especially Upside Down and I'm Coming Out. We sounded great. Niall was pleased and I was packing up. He asked me to stay and play a jazz trombone solo on one of the tracks. I said, Niall, there is a lot of hit records with jazz saxophone solos, even some with jazz trumpet solos, but not one with a trombone. And he said, that is exactly why I want you to do it, which is smart, really, you know.
Yeah.
He says, I was a little bit rusty at first as I hadn't had a call to play jazz in years, so we ended up with 4 separate tracks for solos with the intention of picking the best parts and making one great solo when later he went to mix it. I reminded Niall of our agreement, and he said he was looking forward to The Empire Strikes Back as he was a Star Wars fan himself, which Niall is a huge nerd. Massive nerd.
It's John Williams who scored the movies. John Williams is the guy who scored the Star Wars movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because I knew it was a big name. I just had to think there for a second.
I want to say that, well, maybe then it was the disco version of those.
That's gotta be it, because I don't recognize that name. It's like, I know who scored the movie.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal, yeah. Diana Ross, this is funny. Diana Ross performed this song in front of President Bill Clinton and various world leaders at the opening ceremony of the 1994 World Cup held at Soldier Field in Chicago. I'm going to describe this, but this is something that I just cannot audibly do justice for. You have to look it up on the YouTube.
Okay.
It didn't go as planned. Ross was set up to with a short penalty kick, which which was set to split open the goal for her to run through as she sang the song. And so so it was going to split. She was going to run on stage, and all this was while she was singing the song. Okay. She missed a kick. It was far left of the goal. The goal still split open.
Okay.
She was booed horribly.
Oh.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not a big fan of sports because
but soccer is life to those people who
I was going to say that I'm not a big fan of sports, mainly because I don't like the way that people treat other people for a team that they don't even play on, but
Absolutely.
Soccer is probably the worst at it that I've ever seen,
No
and
doubt.
you could live right next to somebody and hate them just because that they like another soccer team,
exactly.
So
it's
they
insane.
were horrible to her, and all I seen was the open. I didn't see how the rest of the concert went. So maybe everybody clapped for her at the end of it. But anyway, Nile later said about being asked by Diana to produce her album at 20 something years old, talking about himself.
Yeah.
When I sat down with Diana, I realized I was richer than she was.
Jeez.
How could that be? I had written We Are Family and I was very successful. I thought of her as a brand new cutting edge black woman. Yeah.
Dude.
So that's the story of
That's
that.
sad.
I got a few little facts here, but in closing, I'll say that U.S. Cashbox 1980 Top 100 was number 28. U.S. Billboard 1981 Hot 100, it was 98. But the U.S. Billboard Hot Disco Singles, number one.
Gotcha.
So a couple of interesting facts that I found out was of the 25 essential LGBTQ pride songs, I'm Coming Out as number one. Other ones include Elton John, Elton's Song from 1981. The Weather Girls, It's Raining Men from 1983, which I can't help but think that that's just going to be the gay folks. I don't think that's going to be lesbian folks.
No.
And George Michael, Freedom.
Oh, yep.
And there was quite a few other ones, but those were the big ones that really popped out to me.
Makes sense.
Look, I'm going to tell you, I can't stand bars because I worked in bars for years.
Yeah.
But some of the best bars I ever been in, some of the most fun I've ever had in bars have been gay bars.
Dude, yeah.
Oh my God.
I back in the day, I had a girlfriend who had a best friend who was gay, and one of my friends from high school came out after we graduated, and he worked at this bar, this gay bar in Kokomo, the only gay bar in Kokomo, as you can imagine.
Right.
And so I was like, me being stupid and like trying to be a nice guy, that was like, hey, I should hook up her friend with my friend.
Sure.
Terrible idea, because my friend was a pretty smart dude, and her friend was as dumb as she was. But we had a lot of fun there. I went there and like a lot of real macho dudes are like, oh, I don't want no gay dude hitting on me.
Yeah.
Dude, that's not the way it is. Like everyone that talked to me that night, the first thing they would say is, hey, are you gay, straight, or bi? I was like, oh, I'm straight. I'm here with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And then just keep talking to me.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone was super nice, man.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, gay bars are more fun than straight bars just because you don't have to worry about the big, dumb asshole dude trying to hit on every girl in sight and trying to start fights with everybody. Yeah. Gay bars are a lot more chill than a lot of straight bars in many ways. So, dude, I'm right there with you. I have no problems going to a gay bar. I am very confident in my heterosexuality.
There's
no problems.
There's a couple of really, really old good friends of mine in Virginia Beach that there's a handful of gay bars that are left in Virginia Beach. Whenever I was pretty much at the peak of driving limo in Virginia Beach, I knew where all of them were. And I knew all the names of them because we take people there all the time.
Right.
And so I had one buddy of mine that he was like, all right, man, this is what we're going to do. On New Year's Eve, we're going to get 5 of your cars and we're going to load them up. All these are 10 passengers, so 50 people we're going to have. Yeah. And we're going to load them up and we're just going to do like a gay bar hop.
Gotcha.
And we're going to go from bar to bar to bar. Well, but whenever he told me about it, he says, we're just going to do like a bar crawl thing.
Yeah.
And I go, okay. And he goes, first we're going to go to this place, and then we're going to go to this place, and then, the Rainbow Cactus and all these other places that, and as he's telling me, I'm like, I know these bars. Why do I know the name of these bars? Why is this sticking out? When it's not like, like a handful of regular bar names, like, okay, whatever, we're going to go to this place and that place. But like these names really stuck out, and I was so stupid, I couldn't even think, like, why are the names of these bars sticking out? I know these bars. Why are these sticking out? And then finally it hit me, and my girlfriend Jen, she was the friend I'm talking about is a mutual friend of ours.
Okay.
And so like all this come rushing into me. I'd known this man for years.
Yeah.
And I didn't know he was gay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so he's talking about hitting all these gay bars, and I was like, oh, they're gay bars. Oh my God, and I was almost like insulted. Like, why didn't I know that this guy was gay before?
You felt stupid.
Like, so then I go back to
my gaydar really is busted.
Yeah. So I go back to, I go back to the house. I'm like, hey babe, is so-and-so gay? And she's like, I wasn't going to say anything. Dude, she would be a perfect spy, because you could tell her something and she would die before she told anybody about it.
Dude, I love my gay friends. And I actually, once upon a time, sold a bunch of carpet to a gay bar here in Evansville.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and the owner was just the coolest dude ever, and a super nice guy. So,
I've always had good experiences.
Oh, hell yeah.
But, anyway, a distinctive sound of I'm Coming Out, has led to Ross's song often being sampled, most notably by Stevie J, who sampled the song for the late rapper Notorious B.I.G.'s 1997 song, Mo Money, Mo Problems.
Yeah, that
which
guitar
was
line.
One of the finest examples of sampling I have ever heard. And I mean that legit. God darn, I love that song. There's also been a cover by Marsha Hines, almost kind of like a lower produced version of Diana Ross's,
Okay.
It's good. It's just it's not as big bandy.
Okay.
Yeah, she wasn't that big. But it wasn't quite as big bandy, as robust, I guess. It was featured as a cover for the video game Karaoke Revolution as well.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
In more recent times, the song was sampled by Keisha Cole's remake of I'm Coming Out, featuring Iggy Azalea, for the original soundtrack of the 2014 movie The Other Woman, starring Cameron Diaz, Kate Upton, and Leslie Mann.
Gotcha.
I haven't heard that version of it yet. Mm-hmm. The song is sampled in Break Your Heart Right Back by Ariana Grande's sophomore album, Me Everything, in 2014.
Can't say I know that song either.
The song was also covered for the soundtrack of the 2016 movie Trolls.
Oh, God. Yeah, definitely don't know that.
I haven't seen that, but I haven't heard a whole lot of good. It seems like people put that movie in the same category as like The Sandlot and The Goonies, and, it's kind of going in that category.
What?
Yeah, like people talk about it, they almost talk about it with nostalgia nowadays.
What? The movie Trolls?
Yeah.
Like from last year.
Oh, is that it?
You just said 2016, dude.
Oh, I should really read the shit that I'm reading. Yeah, but honestly, whenever people talk about it, it's almost like they're talking.
No, because I hear people talk very fondly of movies like The Sandlot and The Goonies, and I don't hear anyone say a single good thing
no fondness
about Trolls. No. It's just a bad cash in on 90s nostalgia. Is all that is.
You're going to love this one. In 1997, German comedian Hella von Sinnen sampled I'm Coming Out for her single, Mine Coming Out. MEIN. Using the term coming out in the context of coming out of the closet in the hardcore German kind of way. So kind of like pseudo-Nazis coming out.
Oh. Well, I was going to say because Mein Kampf,
Yeah. Right.
Oh my God. Wow.
So, in 2003, American R&B singer Amarie covered the song for the soundtrack of Jennifer Lopez's film Made in Manhattan.
Oh, God.
It was released as a single in Australia and the United Kingdom only, and not in the United States. The final single was to be released by, the final single version to be released was the Lauren Dawson radio mix. The original single version, which was similar to the original, can be found on both CD singles and the original motion picture soundtrack to Made in Manhattan. Ross's version can be found on the film's soundtrack as well. A couple of other names that that used this as samples were the Hackney Colliery Band in the song called Money.
No idea who that is.
You know, I listened to it, and I can't say I'm a big fan of the song. Mm-hmm. I think you'd be impressed by the band, though.
Gotcha. I have never heard of them before.
You remember Two Fly?
Two Fly?
It's a group.
No.
Anyway, they came out with a song called Sex, and it was on that, and it's not bad. It's my version of rap that I like, right, OG stuff, you know.
Right.
Master Rocker, Kid Finesse, and DJ Fonzo on Put You to Rest. I really like that a lot.
Don't know that one either.
Mixed Masters, I know you know who Mixed Masters are.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Okay, and they did I'm Coming Out, and I really like that too. Raptini on Ice in their Raptini S Coming Out album, and it's pretty good. Of course, I remember Raptini from the day. Cause I'm old. So, anyway, the sampling stuff, I mean, obviously I'm a big fan of Niles, but, the sampling stuff was really more interesting to me than the story of the song, but I think that more people are familiar with the song than they are with the samples.
Oh yeah,
so,
I very much am too.
Yeah, I think that's one of my little things that I love that I'm not going to force on my friends. So, so anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and, John's going to come right back and show us what he's got.
All right.
Hey friends, this is Mary from the Mary Movement Podcast. We tell true stories that will inspire, encourage, and warm your heart. So join the movement at themarymovement.com.
All right, and we're back. So this is yet another story I actually came across on Reddit because the 39th anniversary of this event was last week, October 3rd.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, someone posted on either, I don't remember if it was the music or the Today I Learned sub, but it popped up, and so I did a little research on it after that, and come to find out it actually happened at a venue that I have been at before. Now it's called the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. I sure as hell don't remember it being called that when I was there. I saw Incubus there in 2004. Local radio station had a contest where each day in October, if you called in at a certain time, you could get tickets for the price of whatever day of the month that was. So if you called in October 1st, you got tickets for $1. I ended up calling in on the 13th is when I heard about it, and so I got my tickets for $13.
Now back then, that was a good price for it?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's still now that would be $13 for a stadium tour is pretty solid.
Oh, absolutely,
deal. Yeah. So I, like I said, I saw Incubus back there in 2004, and
good concert.
Yeah, they put on a good show. For the most part, they closed their encore with like a really fairly obscure song that I really loved, so I was really excited about that. Anywho, so this happened in Fort Wayne, is when this happened in 1978. Aerosmith was on tour in support of their live bootleg album, which I actually remember my parents having this CD, and it was kind of some of the earliest exposure I had to Aerosmith back then. And so this venue, the Coliseum, was a little ahead of its time, I guess you would say, because 1978 was when this happened, and they were already banning smoking in the venue back then. And considering how prevalent smoking still was, I mean, hell, I can remember, late 80s, early 90s, people still smoking in the malls.
Oh, yeah.
And so 1978, any place having a smoking ban, to me, that's kind of surprising.
I remember when they were smoking in hospitals.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah. And you got to figure back then, cigarette advertising was still very prevalent. I don't remember exactly when they banned cigarette advertisements on television. They may have still been advertising it back then.
I want to say, yeah. I don't think that really started until like 79, 80, 81.
Okay.
Something like that. But I remember watching Marlboro commercials.
Gotcha. Yeah. Man. I can remember cigarette ads still being in magazines.
Oh, yeah.
Even when I was a kid.
Sure.
Hell, I think Sports Illustrated was running them up until the mid-90s. I think at least, maybe later than that even. But yeah, I mean, whatever, either way. So this incident happened when Steven Tyler's personal seamstress was arrested for lighting up a cigarette on the side of the stage. And yes, Steven Tyler did have a personal seamstress, and given his penchant for scarves and whatnot, right. I guess that kind of makes sense.
Is her name Amy?
I did not see a name.
I
did not.
If she was still employed whenever I was on tour with them, then I know who you're talking about.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding. So, I mean, like, I was kind of surprised at first. Like, he had a personal seamstress, but again, back to the scarves thing. I was like, oh, okay, wait, that makes sense.
That's job security right there, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. But so she lights up a cigarette on the side of the stage, and that kind of sparked off this whole incident. So, in short order, at least 30, but possibly up to 62 people were arrested for tobacco, weed, and alcohol. Mainly underage drinking in that case. I did find a newspaper from this year, actually, the Daily Kent Stater, which was a Kent State student newspaper.
Okay.
And they reported 62 people being arrested. And interestingly enough, this was in their Friday, October 13th issue. Which, obviously, next week is going to be Friday, October 13th as well. So I thought it was kind of interesting that here we are talking about this in a year that also is going to have a Friday the 13th in October.
Right.
Local Fort Wayne radio DJ, Doc West, actually referred to the arrestees as the Fort Wayne 44, obviously alluding to the fact that he, at least in his account, there were 44 people arrested. So it kind of goes back to the discrepancy in the numbers here. He, in recent years, has even tried to organize a reunion of those who were arrested on a few occasions, but it doesn't seem like he's had much luck. Some of them have responded, some haven't, and hell, by this point, almost 40 years since the incident, I'm sure there's more than a few that are long since gone. But regardless of the number, Steven Tyler did not take this too well. Now, some accounts I saw were saying that the seamstress was the first one arrested. Some were saying people were already being arrested and she was just the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. But either way, Steven Tyler quickly snaps out of his likely drug-induced haze, went on a huge rant against the police, calling them scumbags and Gestapo. Yeah. Crazy. And to the point where the police actually were about to arrest him for trying to incite a riot.
What? Well, it ain't the first time he's ever been.
Oh, no, I'm sure. And they ended up not arresting him, but he still was, going on this tirade and actually offered to post bail for all the fans who were arrested.
Shut up. How much was that?
Well, 28 of the people took him up on that offer. Okay. Now, I saw two different amounts, that were mentioned. One of them I only found mentioned in the Daily Kent Stater, and they reported $500 that was paid in bail by the group's Boston-based accountant, a man by the name of Peter Minch. Now, keep in mind, since this happened on October 3rd, but this was reported on October 13th.
Right.
So court dates probably had not come to pass for most of the people.
Sure.
All in all, it looks like once you take into account the court dates, which Aerosmith's accountant did pay for as well, it looks like the total came to only, which this surprised me how low this was, $4,200. Dollars. I was expecting, several, maybe tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Well, but even at 78, I mean, obviously it's going to be cheaper than that. But
right, but even still, then, I was still expecting
28 people.
Yeah, jeez. I was still expecting it to be at least $10,000. Even in $78.
Sure.
But either way, it certainly. Now, here's something else. This is kind of a personal anecdote about this. Since I have been to this theater, I wasn't a cigarette smoker at that time, but I had kind of started smoking cigars a little bit, and I actually brought a pack of Backwoods cigars into the venue and didn't sneak them in. I mean, I didn't try to sneak them in or anything like that. I had them in my hand, and security checked it, presumably to make sure, it was actually tobacco and not anything else. And so actually my friend Joe and I, who went with me, we actually smoked cigars while we were watching them. So I thought that was kind of strange that, and I think they had a designated smoking area, if I remember correctly. I think we had to go up a few rows to get to this designated smoking area, but so I thought that was kind of strange that they were apparently not allowing it back then, but somehow relaxed their rules about it later.
Yeah.
Anywho, regardless. Either way, it was definitely a night that the band showed a clear appreciation for their fans, and I gotta say, I've even got a new level of respect for Aerosmith in that regards.
Serinda, that's her name.
Serinda.
Yeah,
okay.
I've actually met her.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And is it the same one? Has she been with them for?
I want to say because she's
No
pretty
kidding.
close to my age. Yeah.
Okay.
If not older. I mean, I'm sure she's probably older than me. She looks a damn sight better than me. But
Well, I was going to say because Steven Tyler and Joe Perry and company are definitely quite a bit older. Than
oh
you.
yeah,
Quite a bit older.
I got a friend of mine I went to high school with that. Anita, and she is just absolutely bonkers over Steven Tyler. And, we didn't have Facebook when I was in high school.
Right.
Hell, we were lucky to have calculators. But, whenever Facebook came around, we got back in touch and all that.
Yeah.
I found out that she was a big Steven Tyler fan, and I told her that, I was on tour with him for, 14 weeks back in the day, and she just lost her shit. And, every once in a while she'll post, like a new picture of him in whatever outfit or whatever, cause he's kind of, a flamboyant guy, and he's really into clothes and all that. I mean, ridiculously nice guy. And I always say the same thing, she looks like a very nice grandma.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause he looks like an old woman now.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I was in half the shape that he's in.
Right. And that's not insulting Steven Tyler by any means.
Oh,
no
not
insult.
at all. I mean, look, man, he's lived harder lives than 10 of me.
Oh, dude.
And he's in 10 times better shape than me right now.
No doubt.
Smoke like a freight train.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Joe does too.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't surprise me either.
I think it's mandatory if you play guitar in a rock band now.
Well, back then it was. Nowadays, I doubt
I think there was a lot of other things that were mandatory back then too.
But so yeah, it was a interesting story, especially considering that it happened A, at a venue that I've been to, and B, here in Indiana of all places.
Yeah.
So it was a very interesting story for me to come across like that. And,
that's funny, man. I can't think of, whenever I really kind of first got into security, I was living in Louisville and, mainly doing the bullshit stuff like concerts and wrestling. And, of course, whenever May came around, you got Derby and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, I had actually went to work, I want to say it was at Louisville Gardens, which isn't there anymore. I think the building's there, but they don't use it anymore. But I might be wrong. I might just be making that up. It might not be at Louisville Gardens, but I spent a lot of time there. But anyway, they were in concert, and I went in fully expecting to work that concert and going home. And whenever I got there, they said, hey, we got like 3 openings or 5 openings or whatever, and we need you to go on the road. And I was like, cool, when's this going to happen? And they were like, 15 minutes. Oh shit. Okay. Well, yeah, let me make a phone call. And no, we ain't got no time for phone calls. So the next stop was Cincinnati, and I called up my wife then. And, we didn't have cell phones or anything.
Right. No.
So I called up my wife, and it was like, 5 or 6 in the morning, something like that. And I said, hi, how are you? Hey, where you at? You were supposed to be home like 6 hours ago or whatever. Yeah, about that. So I'm in Cincinnati. And, and I did the rest of the North American leg. And,
no kidding.
14 weeks, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and so make damn good money.
I was about to say, I'm sure.
I mean, for me, being a low on the totem pole security guy,
still,
but
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And when was that?
God, man.
Early mid 80s,
early
90s. Early 90s. Oh, yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
There was first tour after the Toxic Twins.
Okay, gotcha.
Like they weren't Toxic Twins.
Right. They cleaned up.
So this is post Run DMC.
Get a Grip. Was that the album they were touring for?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and it was post Run DMC. So they took advantage. they did all the right things. They took advantage of it, and they was like, hey, if we miss this opportunity, we might not get another one.
No doubt. Absolutely.
And they did everything that they were supposed to do. And I tell you what, you talk about a clean backstage and a clean hotel room. Ain't no drugs, ain't no alcohol, ain't no nothing.
No alcohol even.
Nothing. In fact, the only way that we could only drink, obviously you're only supposed to drink off duty, but the only way we could drink is if we left the hotel.
Oh, wow.
We couldn't drink on a bus. We couldn't drink in a hotel.
No kidding.
Yeah, we actually had to go to a bar and drink. Yeah, off duty, yeah. So
it doesn't totally surprise me with how much, just the volumes of cocaine those two must have consumed.
Made Tony Montoya look like just a little punk.
Dude,
I heard some of the stories. Oh my God, I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to say about, but some of the stories that and I'm no stranger to drug culture. I've had, a few friends, but mainly, work-related, acquaintances that I had that, I've heard stories and I've been involved, or not been involved, but, been witness to a lot of things, that had to do with guys in the music industry, people in the music industry. But man, to start off, if that's going to be your first tour, man, you are calloused for the rest of your career. You are set, bro. There is nothing you're going to see. You are ready for Motley Crue. You are ready for Poison. You are ready for all those cats, man. Yeah. Because those guys were OG. So,
no doubt.
So, do you have anything else?
No, I know we wanted to mention the raffle.
Oh yeah, that's so we the Smarts Project is raffling off a guitar signed by Vince Gill, and not that it's a funny little fact that goes with it, but a while back, a lot of you might remember that Glenn Campbell passed away. And there was some business that Vince was doing in California, and he came back on a Sunday. He signed it on Monday, and Glenn Campbell passed away on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So
that did happen right there together. That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
So
it's been so long since we got a hold of it.
It's been sitting in the room. Yeah. So anyway, that's thanks to my my buddy Jimmy Miles, and I'll be in touch with him and. Getting pictures of him and all that stuff. But anyway, we are raffling off the guitar soon. And I'm not sure of the prices yet. We're coming up with the ticket design and all that. But 100% of the money is going towards the Smarts Project. And we're setting up infrastructure for programs and things like that we have for students, not just high school students, but other music programs and schools, and it's a really good cause, and 100% of the money is going to the Smarts Project. Nobody's making any money off of this. Nobody's getting a cut. There's no middleman. There's no nothing. 100% is going to Smarts. So we'll keep you all in the loop with that. We'll probably be starting that maybe like in the next week or two. Mm-hmm. It's been sitting in your room for how long? It's been sitting downstairs.
I think it's been almost 2 months.
Yeah, and we haven't said anything about it. We haven't done.
Well, and something else we might do. I don't know. We can talk about this more later, but set up even like a PayPal account or something like that where people can buy raffle tickets online.
Yeah, maybe? We're going to make it available to everybody. So if you're listening to this, you're probably listening to it on a phone, which probably means that you have access to social media, and we're going to set up something to where we could do it on, you could purchase them on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, we'll make it happen. Yeah. And we don't have a date of the raffle yet. We're just really telling y'all, we literally made this decision like 10, 15 minutes before we hit record on this particular episode. So, we'll keep y'all in the loop with it, and we'll have everything about that in the next episode, as a great man once said. So, in the meantime, let's go ahead and bring it home, brother.
All right, guys. So, as always, if you have a myth or legend or even just an interesting story you would like for us to research and feature on the podcast, you can get a hold of us on Facebook at Tall Tales of Music Mythology, on Twitter at T2M2 Podcast, or you can email us at hosts, HOSTS, at T2M2.org.
And for the Smarts Project, you can join us at our home on the web at thesmartsproject.com, and our complaint department is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at randy@thesmartsproject.com. And now, more than ever, be kind to each other. Tell your kids you love them each and every day. Never be a myth.
Always be a legend.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.